Welcome to the problem solving video, Start on Easy Not on Expert. I gave it this name because when Guitar Hero first came out, I figured this will be really easy. I play guitar, I play video games, how hard could it be? So I started on Expert and failed in about 5 seconds. It was a little harder than I thought it would be. Same thing happens in math. When you have a problem that has lots of big numbers or lots of numbers, don't start on Expert. Make the problem easier somehow and work up to back up to Expert until you see the answer to the problem. So in this problem we have the end of the 7th inning of a baseball game. The score was 8-8. How many scores were possible at the end of the 6th inning, the previous inning? Well, 8-8, there's a lot of different options, and that's Expert. So let's start on easy. What if the score was 0-0? How many scores at the previous inning? Well, it had to be 0-0, so there's only one way to do that. What if the score instead of being 0-0 had been 1-1? What are the possible scores for the previous inning? Well, it could have been 1-1, or it could have been 0-0, both teams scoring 1 run, or it could have been 1-0, or 0-1, depending on which team had the lead, the home or the visiting team. This gives us 4 ways. All right, what about a 2-2 game? Well, we've still got 0-0, 1-1, 2-2. There's some of our ties. We could have 1-0 or 0-1 again. We've seen those before. We could have 2-1 or 1-2. We could have 2-0 or 0-2. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ways. Now, by continuing like this, you might realize that there are some patterns in this. And you notice that we all have different combinations of, in this case, 0s, 1s, and 2s. So we could take a look at, for 3-3, we could say, well, the home team could have a score of 0, 1, 2, or 3. The visiting team could have a score of 0, 1, 2, or 3. And every possible score in that game has got to be a combination of one of the home scores and one of the visiting scores. And we notice that since there's 4 possible scores for each, 0, 1, 2, and 3, we end up with 4 times 4, which is 16 ways. Looking back, does this work? Well, yeah, we've got 2-2, we've got 3 possible scores, 0, 1, or 2, and we've got 3 times 3, or 9 ways. And for the 1-1, we had scores of 0 or 1, and 2 times 2 was 4 ways, and we only had 1 score. 1 times 1 is 1 way, so it looks like we take the number of scores possible and we multiply it by itself. So if the score was 0-8, then there were 9 scores possible. Anything from 0-8 was possible, and so if we take that, we got 9 possible scores times 9 possible scores equals 81 possible scores for this problem. And you see that just by starting on easy, working up, we see a pattern, and we use that pattern to jump ahead to the answer instead of trying to find it directly. So that's a great strategy that we can use in math.